right, boom. Welcome back to No Effort, No Intro, No Effort. Don't ever edit my videos. Let's talk about monogamy. Let's jump straight into it, okay? Let's talk about what's wrong with monogamy, particularly in like the 21st century, okay? Number one, let's get a history of relationships. For most of human history, people have lived in flat, egalitarian societies. That's number one. If you were to condense the entirety of humanity into one calendar year, from January 1st being the day of the first human to December 31st would be today, whenever you're watching this video, relatively speaking, from January 1st till about Christmas, we have lived in mostly egalitarian flat societies. Now, in order to live in egalitarian flat societies, they can't be that big, right? Egalitarian societies, after a certain number, they just don't work. You have to do a hierarchical system, okay? But what egalitarian societies, flat societies, smaller societies allow for is more in-group and less out-group. So for most of human history, you pretty much knew your wife for most of your life, right? For most of human history, you knew your wife or husband for either most of your life, or B, you had an arranged marriage, in which that case you knew it was going to be arranged, okay? Now let's talk about marriage for a second. Marriage, for most of human history, literally up until about 250, 300 years ago, for most of human history, most people did not get married for love. Let me say that again, because I know that idea is foreign in 2021, right? I know some of you guys would never think of marrying a person who's not in love with you and you're not in love with. I just want to let you know that is a new phenomenon in human history. For most of human history, they did not get married for love. They got married to consolidate power, to consolidate wealth, land ownership, family, to build and protect a family. But people did not get married for love. Love-based marriages was not a common thing up until about the Romance periods, Renaissance, all that good time, 250, 300 years ago. Why? Because love is too fickle of an idea and too fickle of a concept to base something as serious and as long-term as marriage. Let me say that again. Love, romance, the feeling of being in love, is too fickle of an emotion to base a relationship on. Why is that? Well, if you've ever been in love before, then you know that people don't fall in love just with one person one time. A person may fall in love with a person, with different people at different points in their life. You may fall in love in high school, then you may fall in love again in college, then you may fall in love again in your early 20s, and then you may fall in love again in your late 20s, 30s, whatever. I mean, a person may go from never being in love to having multiple people that they're in love with over the course of their life. The point being is that I cannot build my life based upon if you love me. I can't do it. I can't do it because how you feel about me, I cannot build my life based upon how you feel about me. And you can't build your life based upon how I feel about you. Because how I feel about you will change day to day. It 100% will change day to day. How you feel about me will change day to day. Will change week to week, month to month. So you can't really base a relationship on love. At least that's what we believe for most of human history. In the past 200 years or so, we've had love-based marriages, right? This idea of like, the person you marry is the person you're in love with. If you think about being in love with someone or desiring someone to be in love with you, it is the most nonsensical, illogical, narcissistic desire that a person could ever have. And I know we don't like to think about that. I know we go, no, being in love is great, but no, being in love is so self-centered. It is so self-centered. Because what is it based off of? What is it based on? It's literally based upon how you feel, right? You want a person to make major life decisions based upon how you feel about them and they feel about you. Not based on logic, not based on vows, not based upon rationale, not based upon a contract, not based upon any of that. You want a person to build their life based solely and fully on how they feel about you and how you feel about them. It is a totally self-centered, egotistical desire. 100%. It is 100% egotistical, selfish desire. And people don't like to frame being in love that way. But that's what it is. Because if I were to ask you, hey, what does it mean for someone to be in love with you? Only thing you're going to do is tell me how much you mean to that person. How much you are at the center of their life. That's what you're going to tell me. Or if I ask you, hey, have you ever been in love? You say yes. What is that like? What is it like when you're in love with somebody? Only thing you're going to tell me is about yourself. You're going to tell me about your feelings and your thoughts and how I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't think, I can't do anything without this person because of how I feel about this person. And people will, your partner or partners will literally get mad at one another for not being in love with them. You don't think I'm the center of your world? You don't think like I'm the most important thing? It's like, no. But that's what we all want. That's what we all desire. At least that's what we're all socialized to desire. But it's a self-defeating issue. It's one of the reasons a lot of people won't accept this. It's one of the reasons why divorce has increased. People want to blame divorce on the culture, the music, as if people haven't been like being degenerate and making music like for all of human history, right? It's not the music, it's not the culture, it's not the video games. It's love-based marriages. Marriage is still the #1 cause for divorce, right? But no, it's love-based marriages. Because if you can jump in and out of this relationship based upon how you feel, I am a slave to your emotions. My entire life is built around managing your emotions, making sure you feel great about me, and vice versa. Actually, not vice versa. Not vice versa. Because when someone is in love with you, again, how we describe being in love is like, oh, I can't help but be with that person. I can't help but think about that person. I just want that person to be happy. So if someone is in love with you and they're consumed with you, right? They can't stop thinking about you. Well, then you don't have to do anything. Just be you, right? You don't have to do anything because that person loves you. And that's what people want. People want to be in a relationship where another human being is going to adjust their life to your liking simply because you love them. Okay? Now, this may seem like I'm making love to be like this bad, horrible, evil thing. It's really not. Love is not a bad thing. I'm talking about the idea of building long-term relationships based solely on how you feel, or mostly on how you feel about a person. It's nonsensical, it's illogical, and self-centered. That's very important for understanding why so many people have a problem with monogamy today. Because when you boil monogamy, when you boil relationships down to how I feel about you and how you feel about me, then literally the only thing holding our relationship together is how we feel about each other today, or this week, or this month. If you feel like you don't want to be with me, you'll break up with me. or if you feel like you don't want to be in this relationship, you'll divorce or whatever it may be, right? One of the deep issues with monogamy in the 21st century is monogamy doesn't guarantee anybody anything. What a lot of people don't realize, like, there's this dumb notion, particularly online, of we've normalized cheating in the 2020s or in the 21st century. It's like, no, bro. Like people have been cheating, sleeping with multiple people for the entirety of human history. For instance, if you want to believe the Bible, humans were created in Genesis chapter 2. By Genesis chapter 4, niggas was taking multiple wives. Like, at no point in human history have humans ever been good at one person for life. No point in human history. As a matter of fact, back in the day, a love child was a child that was born out of wedlock. That was a love child because it was common knowledge. You weren't with your husband because you loved him. You weren't with your wife because you loved her. Extramarital relationships were common for both men and women at a certain point in history, right? I know we just like to take a hold of the misogynistic part of history, but women cheat too, and women had mistresses too, and everything like that. So this idea of like, oh, cheating is normalized in the 21st, no, it's not. No, it's not. At no point in human history have humans ever been good at sleeping with or only having sex with one person for the duration of their life. At no point. So now here we are in the 2020s. We have this new phenomenon where we're now being socialized to jump into relationships for love, based upon how this person feels about you, based upon how you feel about the person. And these relationships, they have no purpose. They have no direction. See, when people got married for property, or when people got married for wealth or for the family, there was a purpose to the relationship. So even if I hate you, even if I don't like you today, you did something that really pissed me off, you did something that irks me to my core, I have motivation to actually work through the issues in our relationship, because our relationship is the foundation for something greater. When our relationship isn't actually the foundation for something, but it's really when our relationship isn't the foundation for something external, and it's only the foundation for your own personal self-esteem, there's not much we can do with that relationship. That relationship can't go far unless we're just really good at maintaining each other's emotions. And so one of the big issues that I have with monogamy, because I'm a person, I'm like, I don't really want monogamy anymore. One of the reasons why I don't want monogamy is because of that. Is because people get into relationships just for the sake of relationships. Why? Why are we together? What's the purpose of us being exclusive? What's the purpose of us dating? Is the purpose of us dating to get married? Okay, then does that mean that both of us should be looking for certain traits in each other? Like, what's the point of being boyfriend or girlfriend? What is the point of it? What is the reason? Why are we together? Because we feel like it? Okay, well, what happens 4 months from now when I don't feel like it anymore? Can I just exit? And if I exit, does it matter? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is the point of our relationship? That's number one. Number two, because of how we're socialized to get into relationships purely for selfish reasons, a lot of times people are not equipped for interpersonal relationships. We live in a very narcissistic dating culture where everything in dating is about you. It's about you, your wants, your desires. Oh, when the relationship no longer meet your needs or make you happy, leave it. And it's like, fam, like, you can't build a society. You can't maintain relationships if everyone's getting in and out of relationships when they feel like it. And if everybody's basis for being in a relationship is how much this person thinks that you love them or how much they think that they love you, because there's no, you can't grow there, right? Most people aren't equipped for love because we live in this narcissistic, kind of love-based culture, then what ends up happening is you get into relationships with people and people get extremely, extremely controlling. Right? So this is I made a video not too long ago about, hey, there's never an excuse to go through your partner's phone. Do y'all understand that literally before 2010, there was no such thing as going through your partner's phone? Do you guys get that? Going through your partner's phone is something that happened in the past 15 years. It's not something that people did. Do you understand that for most of human history, if your wife or husband left at the beginning of the day, you did not know when they were coming back? Do y'all not understand that wives and husbands would leave their families for days, weeks, months at a time? This is how most of human history went. But nowadays, we want to be able to not just know where our partner's at. We want their location. We want to be able to go through their phone. We want to know, why don't you have your read receipts on? Well, let me check your deleted messages. It's like, what are we doing here? What is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of you going through my phone? What is the purpose of us having each other's location? What's the point of it? Right? It's a harm. It's saying, and what a lot of people like to do, because relationships are self-based, if you try to bring this up and have a actual conversation about it, okay, why do we need to go through each other's phones? Why do we need to do all this extra stuff that no one's ever had to do in relationships ever? If you actually want to have a conversation about that, that's when people try to throw dirt on you and try to say, oh, well, if you had nothing to hide, it wouldn't be a problem. No, it would still be a problem, because as a human, I'm entitled to my privacy. I'm entitled to it. Just because I say, or you say, that I'm your boyfriend, I say you're my girlfriend, husband, or wife, whatever, that doesn't give either one of us neither one of us are giving up our rights to privacy just because we get into a relationship, right? But when you live in a narcissistic, self-centered based, love-based society and culture, I have every right to go through your phone. I have every right to know your location. I have every right to know this and that, because you're in this relationship for me. You're in this relationship because I love you. You're in this relationship because you love me. And so what ends up happening is that the self-centeredness of modern dating culture makes monogamy like extremely hard, because one, people are getting into relationships with no purpose. There's no point. We're just here because we fucked, or we just here because we feel like being together. There's no point. There's no goal. What's the end goal of this relationship? Every other relationship in your life, outside of family, but even family has a purpose. Even your brothers and sisters, cousins, like, they have a purpose. Every relationship, your work relationships, right, business relationship, colleagues, every relationship has a purpose, except for these monogamous relationships. They have no purpose. We just get together for the sake of getting together. And so because they're built on such self-centeredness, because they're built on such just ego, what also ends up happening is that people want to become your everything. So one of the things that I don't like about current monogamy is that when you get into a monogamous relationship in the 2020s, that person expects to be your only source of interaction between you and the opposite gender. And your partner may never say that outright. They may never outright say, oh, I don't want you talking to any other women, or you can't talk to another man. They may never outright say that. But best believe, you cannot, once you get into a relationship, go start a new friendship with the opposite sex. As a woman, you know, culturally speaking and societally speaking, once you enter into a relationship, you can't go start a new friendship with another guy, even if it's a legit platonic friendship. You cannot meet a guy after you meet your boyfriend and then start a relationship, or start a friendship. Like, hey, this is my guy Jeff. He's a cool guy. We talk, we grab a bite every now and then. It ain't romantic. I don't look at him like that. He don't look at me like that. He actually has a wife and girlfriend or whatever. Same thing with a guy, right? I can't go out, or most men can't go out and start a new friendship, a real platonic friendship with the opposite sex, because too many women are jealous and insecure and competitive. That's another thing I want to talk about, how like, and I've talked about a little bit, how a lot of dating culture is really just stroking like women's ego when you really sit down and think about it. Women are the ones who are super competitive over men. Men aren't as competitive over women, right? We sort of like take our L's and go home. It's like, oh, nigga stole my bitch. Like, all right, I'm gonna be heartbroken for about a week, and I'm gonna get back on a horse and keep going, right? But women will do these little competitive things, and so it makes dating just this place of like, this person wants to be your only source of femininity, or this person wants to be your only source of masculinity. And it's like, you're not equipped for that. You're not equipped to be my only source of feminine energy. I'm not equipped to be your only source of masculine energy. I fully believe that men and women need like multiple relationships and different kinds of relationships with the opposite sex. If my main and really only relationship with the opposite sex are women in my immediate family, it's just like, why do y'all keep expecting strangers of the opposite sex to have healthy relationships then? Because once in our culture, once you get into a relationship, you really don't have friends with the opposite sex. Because in our culture, that person now has to be your only source of femininity, or your only source of masculinity. You can't get it from anywhere else. You can't get that energy from anywhere else other than your partner. Why? Ego. That's the only reason why. There's no like real reason behind it outside of ego. Ego, competition, and insecurity. And so most people today, I just don't think they're equipped for monogamy. I don't think they're secure enough in themselves. I don't think they actually have a plan or purpose to monogamy, a plan or purpose to monogamous relationships. I think people just get into them because, oh, this is what we're supposed to do. I think that's why you come have all these like situationships and talking stages, and it's like, what is this weird stuff? This is weird, right? Like, there's no such thing as a talking stage. There's no such thing as a situationship, right? These things happen when people get in meaningless relationships, and relationships that have no purpose and no plan, right? And it's so funny because it seems like everybody is like, you gotta be in a monogamous relationship, and it's like, y'all don't get it. Like, at no point in human history, we have been serial monogamous daters, which means that we'll date a person one at a time, right? But the idea of like one person is supposed to be your only source of masculinity, or your main source of masculinity, femininity, I just don't think the human being can reach their full potential like that. I really don't think you can. And I even think in healthy marriages, they would agree. And I'm not talking about, oh, I'm gonna go be alone with a woman who's not my wife late at night to get coffee. I'm not talking about that. We're not talking about that. But that just goes to show you that the fact that most of us know that we can't trust our partner, or we don't even trust ourselves to be alone with, the opposite gender. I think that's more of a societal issue than an individual person issue. I think that's more of a societal issue than an individual person issue, because we have a very egotistical, self-centered view of relationships. Relationships are all about self. And that is the big problem with monogamy. Because monogamy only works with, I always say this, the most successful relationship is going to be the relationship with the least amount of selfish people. The least amount of selfish people. Right? So something to think about. Something to think about when it comes to monogamy. Think about, okay, well, what, maybe my relationships aren't working because there's no plan or purpose for them. Like, I just get into relationships and there's no reason. Like, maybe my relationships don't work for whatever reason. But I think one of the big reasons is people are not equipped to be somebody's partner. We are not socialized to be another person's partner. We are intentionally socialized to be individuals, because as individuals, other individuals can get the most profit, can get the most power from the general population, as long as we're all divided, as long as we're all egocentric, as long as it's every man for themselves. Everybody's got to pay more, and everybody's got to do more, instead of people just chipping in and just working together. It's like, fam, when people have like 50-50 conversations when it comes to relationships, I think those are like the stupidest conversations in the world. That doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean you're not going to go 50-50? What if that's the only way this relationship can be maintained? Well, then I don't want it. It's like, we all live in such a way where we're just so independent. We're not interdependent. We're just not interdependent people. And then we try to force one person to be interdependent with us, but we're not flexible. We're not adaptable. We're not willing to change. We're not willing to see another person's perspective. We're not willing to apologize. We're not willing to admit when we're wrong. We don't have great conflict resolution skills, like all of these things. And then we wonder why monogamous relationships don't work. It's because we're not socialized to be interdependent. So that's my very long way of saying, I don't know how hot monogamy is. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying that I just want relationships that are happy, fruitful, and successful. I don't want to be with a person just for the sake of being with a person. Why can't we just fuck and we just do our own lives? Like, if there's a purpose to this, then cool, let there be a purpose. If the purpose is just share emotions, then you're just going to get in and out of a relationship whenever you feel like it. All right, cool. I'll see you guys later. Peace.